Welcome to this video on the British invasion, how British bands changed America in the 1960s. This cultural revolution transformed American music, fashion, and youth culture as the sound of a generation was reborn, from Liverpool to Los Angeles. This show is brought to you by Series of Thoughts as part of their music and culture program.
We begin with Chapter 1, America Before the Invasion. In the early 1960s, American music was dominated by clean-cut pop idols and formulaic teen music. The first wave of rock and roll was fading, leaving a creative void, with predictable production styles that lacked the rebellious energy youth craved. American youth culture before 1964 was generally conservative. Conservative styling prevailed with mandatory short hair for boys. The cultural landscape had limited international music exposure, and youth culture lacked a distinctive identity, relying on homogenized entertainment. This was the quiet music scene before the storm. American teenagers danced to familiar rhythms, unaware that a musical revolution was about to set sail across the Atlantic for their shores. Chapter 2 marks the spark of a revolution, the arrival of the Beatles. The Beatles' American TV debut on The Ed Sullivan Show on February 9, 1964, was an unprecedented cultural moment, with 73 million viewers tuning in. Beatlemania spread within 24 hours after Ed Sullivan's historic booking of the band, following witnessing the fan frenzy in London. The Beatles' unique appeal came from musical innovation, blending American rock and roll with British skiffle and pop sensibility. Their charismatic personalities, distinctive Liverpool accents, and studio craftsmanship charmed American audiences and pushed musical boundaries. The Beatles dominated the charts, starting with I Want to Hold Your Hand, hitting #1 in February 1964. British acts held the #1 position for 56 combined weeks in 1964 and 1965. In 1964 alone, 65 British singles cracked the US top 40. Chapter 3 introduces the Rolling Stones and the gritty blues revival. The Rolling Stones drew inspiration from American blues roots, including Muddy Waters and B.B. King. Their raw, authentic sound contrasted with the Beatles' polished pop. Breakthrough hits like Satisfaction established them as rock and roll's dangerous bad boys. The Stones' image was scruffy and rebellious, challenging clean-cut norms and redefining the rock star as edgy. Their blues authenticity influenced American youth to explore blues and R&B roots. In Chapter 4, we see how other British bands rode the wave of the British invasion. Bands like Herman's Hermits and the Dave Clark Five broadened the invasion with mainstream appeal. Their clean-cut appearance and catchy pop-rock songs appealed to audiences who found the Beatles too rebellious. Their chart success proved the British invasion was a larger movement. The Animals brought dark, haunting blues arrangements to the charts, adding sophistication. The Kinks introduced British storytelling and raw, distorted guitar riffs that influenced future rock movements. Both expanded the sonic palette of American rock. What began with the Beatles quickly multiplied into dozens of British acts. A wave became a tsunami, diversifying rock and roll forever, as each band brought its own flavor to American shores. Chapter 5 explores the changing American music tastes and industry transformation. The invasion led to a rock revolution, prioritizing authenticity over polish and embracing albums as art. The British success put innovation pressure on American artists and provided musicians with more creative freedom from record labels. The impact on American charts was rapid. By 1965, British acts controlled the majority of the top 40, leading American labels to scramble to adapt. This ultimately inspired the emergence of American garage bands in 1966 and beyond. However, the British invasion also faced resistance and backlash in America. Adults and the industry pushed back. Critics dismissed the bands as a fad, while conservative media questioned their long hair and rebellious attitudes. Some radio stations initially refused to play British music, emphasizing a generational divide. The cultural tensions included questions of identity, as British styles challenged gender norms. A fierce clash erupted between traditional American values and the new youth culture, celebrating individuality and internationalism, creating a musical identity crisis. Chapter 6 details the fashion and lifestyle revolution driven by the British invasion. The Carnaby Street effect saw London become a global fashion capital. Revolutionary styles like miniskirts and unisex looks were popularized, which American teens eagerly adopted, creating a transatlantic youth culture. Mod culture brought sharp-tailored suits and mop-top haircuts for men, and doll-like makeup and geometric patterns for women. The Union Jack became a ubiquitous symbol of cultural rebellion and international identity. Fashion became a political statement. Every miniskirt and every mop-top haircut declared independence from the previous generation and allegiance to a new international youth culture. The British influence extended beyond music, impacting broader pop culture. A cinema revolution began with films like A Hard Day's Night, influencing Hollywood. British theater, TV personalities, and comedians introduced a satirical edge. British slang also entered the American vernacular, marking a notable cultural exchange. The invasion sparked transatlantic dreams, with American youth fascinated by the British lifestyle. There was an increase in tourism to swinging London and UK cultural hotspots. The influence expanded to encompass fashion, film, literature, and art. Chapter 7 focuses on the lasting legacy of the British invasion. The British invasion revitalized American rock and roll and renewed appreciation for blues. It inspired future generations globally, set the stage for counterculture movements, and established popular music as a vehicle for artistic innovation and cultural significance. This cultural exchange involved musical recycling, where British bands transformed American roots music and sent it back revitalized. It created a united transatlantic youth culture and contributed to social liberalization. Ironically, it reminded Americans of their own musical heritage. The British invasion continues to resonate today with enduring reverence for its pioneering bands. Its influence is heard in contemporary music and fashion, and it is recognized as a defining cultural milestone of the 20th century. The British invasion forever changed the sound and style of America. More than half a century later, the echoes of that revolutionary moment still reverberate in music, fashion, and the spirit of challenging convention through creativity. In conclusion, what started as a musical wave became a cultural tsunami, challenging norms and inspiring unprecedented creativity. The story of a small island's enormous impact reminds us that authenticity and passion can transform the world.